got to really keep our finger on the button to try and get up front. But I think it's going to be a good race today.
Crews would complete one lap of 120 kilometers, followed by a lap of 68 and a final lap of 120 kilometers, with sandy conditions expected to suit the four-wheel drive brigade. Clerk of the course, Piet Swanepoel, and CPMCC officials prepared for the start of the Nissan Dealers 400, with Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek first away. Followed by teammates De Villiers and Jordan, and a determined-looking Api Reineke in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Makhegenene and Stangl inherited first place when Mandel's bat picked up problems on the start line, as Haasbroek and Skippers led the way the Class D field in their Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo were next away in the GBS Nissan Hardbody, while Mandel was trying to squeeze his way back into the queue after picking up problems on the start line. Veterans Grobler and Leek set a blistering pace right from the start in the proudly South African Nissan Hardbody. Grobler last won the championship in a Nissan Safari in 1986. Teammate Genil de Villiers won the production vehicle championship in 2002 in only his second year of off-road competition. Api Reineke and Robin Houghton have raced together since 1995 and have won the production vehicle championship 5 consecutive times from 95 to 1999 for Toyota. Reineke has won the production vehicle drivers championship a record 9 times. Atang Makhegenene has won races as a driver and as a co-driver for Bevan Berthold in his debut year in off-road racing. His 450 brake horsepower Chevy V6 powered Jimco is a formidable machine. Piet Haasbroek and Freddie Skippers qualified 6th fastest in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, and based on Haasbroek's past finishing record, could be expected to finish high up in the placings. Grobler and Prinsloo were the team to beat in Class D in years gone by, but had a dismal season last year. They were hell-bent on getting back into the winner's circle in the GBS Nissan. Class B leader Rob Gurney hails from KwaZulu-Natal and is part of the Gurney family who are leading cane farmers in the Eston area, where the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 is run annually. He had Andrew Birkin hot on his heels in the Wingfoot built by former circuit and off-road racer Wolf-Peter Pumfai, and literally seconds behind him were Class E leaders Manfred Schroeder and Jack Pickham in the Ford Racing Ranger. Mark Grenier and Chris Birkin in the Class E Castrol Toyota Hilux had closed the gap on the Ford, while Marius van Vuren and Chris Marie in the Alberanti Land Rover had managed to nip by the two-wheel drive O'Hagan's Koppelung Hotel Jeep, driven here by Scott Abram and co-driven by Obert Carolyn. A first-time experience for both of them. But they couldn't afford to relax because Alfie Cox and Henny de Steger were closing in on them. Four-wheel drive an obvious advantage. Hannes Stein and Ferdy Segers had made up time on the Jeep and the Nissan, as had Cassie Kutsia and Oki Fourie in the new Class E Castrol Toyota Hilux. Duncan Foss and Mike Griffith had to start from 30th place after they encountered electronic problems on the proudly South African Nissan Hardbody, and as the onboard camera sequence shows, they had a lot of overtaking to do, with first the Van der Merwe brothers falling victim, then Bez and Dion Besuidno. This minor indiscretion slowed their progress a little. Another minor indiscretion that could have had disastrous consequences. Nel in the 2-litre VW-powered Look Africa Truggy proved to be no match for the 3.5-litre V6-powered Nissan hardbody. Voss made short shrift of father and son Alfred and Tommy van Vuren in the Class E Nissan hardbody, and JP and Linda Augustine in the Class D GBS Nissan hardbody also presented no problem, while Andrew Birkin politely made way for the charging production vehicle champions. JP Hubert and Errol Hodgson didn't move over in the N1 4x4 Kia, and Voss was forced to find his own way past. And then another indiscretion, but nevertheless a small price to pay for all the places gained. Grobler and Leek led the charge up the only mountain on the sandy route, which had already taken a heavy toll on the special vehicles. They set a blistering pace and steadily opened a gap on their pursuers. Geneel de Villiers and Francois Jordan were well placed in second, but had lost some ground to their teammates, who were now 1 minute ahead of them. On board with third-placed Reineke and Houghton as they ploughed through the thick sand which sapped the power of their 6-cylinder Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. The pair were now 5 minutes behind the race leaders and 4 minutes behind de Villiers. Haasbroek and Schippers had matters under control in Class D, with a Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser performing faultlessly. (2002) Barberspan 500 winner Atang Makgegenene and Mike Stangl had a comfortable lead over the rest of the special vehicle field in the SAM Racing Gymco, while Natalia and Rob Gurney had shown the rest of the Class B field a clean pair of heels in the Auto World JRE. Hein Grobler and Gerard Prinsloo were having a steady run in the GBS Nissan hardbody and were second in Class D. Marc Renier, who started his motorsport career at the age of 12 and raced karts from 1990 to 1996 before joining the Total Toyota Taz development team in production car racing, had got by Schroeder in the Ford and was the new Class E leader. Ninth overall and 7th in the production vehicle category meant that Alfie Cox had gained a place in the Class D Nissan hardbody and was now also third in class. Voss and Griffith were still on their charge through the field and quickly got by Woolridge and Schultheimer in the Ford Racing Ranger. Cassie Kutsia and Okifuri were the next to fall victim. And then it was the turn of Steyn and Segers. This incident almost resulted in the Nissan getting stuck in thick sand, which would have been disastrous. But they managed to get away again and set off in pursuit of Schroeder and Peckham in the Class E Ford Racing Ranger. They then got by Marius van Vuren and Chris Marie in the Alboranti Land Rover 110 Defender and the Jeep to move into 10th place overall. The proudly South African Nissan hardbody was looking a little the worse for wear after an encounter with a gatepost. Scott Abraham and Obert Carolyn were now 11th overall and had made up 2 places since the start in the 5.9-litre V8-powered Class T Jeep Cherokee, but were being hunted down by Van Vuren and Marais in the Class D Alberanti Land Rover. Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham were second in Class E in the Ford Racing Ranger, but had veteran Cassie Coetzee, now fully recovered from injuries sustained in a stone-throwing incident during last year's O'Hagan's Kopanang Hotel 500, bearing down on them in the Castrol Toyota Hilux. Coetzee was only 1 minute and 11 seconds behind the Ford. Hannes Steyn and Ferdi Seegers have been consistent performers in the past and, true to tradition, were maintaining a steady pace in the diesel-powered Class E Toyota Hilux. Woolridge and Shorthammer would have given their eye teeth to be in the cockpit of the rebuilt Class T Ford Racing Ranger that was badly damaged in a high-speed crash during the Carnival City Casino 400 last year, but had to be content with campaigning the lesser-powered Class E Ranger in Class T. The high-revving N1 4x4 Kia Sportage of JP Joubert and Errol Hodgson was 16th overall at this point. JP and Linda Augustin come from the Hartswater area and have campaigned together for a while now. The pair form part of the newly established GBS Nissan team, which entered 3 Class D Nissan hardbodies in the Nissan Dealers 400. (1991 and 92) commercial vehicle champion Alfred van Vuren and son Tommy returned to active competition 2 seasons ago and are now campaigning this Class E Nissan hardbody. Brothers Johan and Martinus van der Merwe from Harrismith are relative newcomers to the sport, and their performances in the Shivani Mitsubishi Colt improved steadily throughout the 2002 Bankfin Off-Road Championship. Andrew Birkin had adapted well to the single-seater Wingfoot after a long career driving a Toyota Hilux in the production vehicle category, and was second in Class B at this point. Former Class B champion Giel Nel is renowned for his consistent performances in the Look Africa Truggy. Never one to lead the charge early in a race, he prefers to come from behind and pick his rivals off in the closing stages of the race, and invariably win his class. Husband and wife team Niels and Zelda van der Walt have 1 Class E win in the Nissan hardbody to their credit in 2002, but they would have to pick up their pace if they had any hope of another class win in the Cape. Coetzee Labuschagne and Johan Gerber are the 3rd team in the GBS Nissan lineup and have in the past competed in Class E before making the move to Class D this season. Top Car managing editor Dion Skuman and Jan Syme entered a Class D Top Car Ferrodo Nissan hardbody in the event, but they were having a rather torrid time.
We lost one of the wheels. It actually fell off the bucket close to a marshal point, and we were trying to go really carefully just to make sure that we could actually finish, and just came around the corner. It just seemed like the tyre just climbed off the rim. Not really conducive to being careful here, because you've got to keep quite a lot of momentum going. So, you know, either way, you either get stuck or you run out of wheels. Tough luck.
Capetonians Colin Herbst and Ian Rutherford entered this rather unorthodox-looking special vehicle based on a Toyota 4x4 chassis and drivetrain and powered by a Ford engine. John Ware-Smith and Jeff Minnett started 33rd in the BMW 540 V8-powered O'Hagan's Kopanang Hotel Jimco and were on a charge. Capetonians Johan Besuidenhout and Daniel Groenewald were having a steady run in the Class A Adenko Chenoweth, but were being chased hard by KZN farmer Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chelane in the Class B JRE, and fellow Capetonians, father and son Bez and Dion Besuidenhout, in the Class B Opel-powered Sandmaster. The Besuidenhout family are the driving force behind getting off-road racing established in the Cape. Gathered in the cold, wet weather to see the crews in action in the Cape for the first time.